Hello there, how you doing? So I hope you're having a lovely day, whatever you're up to or wherever you are. I wanted to do a video about echo. This came up for me recently, and this is something that I have realised as I have moved through my own healing and observed my own healing. So I talked in the last video about uncovering a fear of failure, so I'm going to give it as an example because I think it's easier if you have it as an example. So I worked through fear of failure. Sorry, I've just seen a robin. Robins follow me everywhere at the moment. It's gorgeous. So I worked through another layer of fear of failure, and I uncovered, released another chunk of that lower vibrational energy that's stored in me, worked through it, released it. So after we do that, you will notice absolutely pretty much instantly after the first couple of days, I would say, after you've done the healing, once you've got through that kind of really tired, kind of everything sort of integrating, your vibration is sort of finding its place again, settling, balancing. After that's happened, you will get you will not get triggered by the experiences that were triggering you, like, for example, a week ago. So you will not get triggered in the same way. So if you're getting triggered a lot by them, it means you need to do more healing. So if you're really intensely getting triggered by these experiences still, it means you need to do more healing. So there is a situation where you've done some healing and it hasn't been quite enough to get enough of it out, for that piece of healing that's been coming up to be healed. And if that's the case and you're being really majorly triggered and the emotions are still quite strong, you haven't done enough and you need to do more. However, if you, after the first couple of days, you're you're aware of experiences that a week ago would have really triggered you and caused you to go, your mind to go with all the thoughts and you're not as good as them, or they're doing better than you, etc. Then if that's the case, and you get these experiences and you're only triggered, you might only be triggered like a tiny amount. I call that the echo of the ego. So what I mean by that is, it doesn't mean that you've still got that in you, at this time. It doesn't mean that you've still got that fear of failure to the level that is going to trigger all of these things at this time. It just means that your ego is just needing a little bit of time to kind of realize that the soul is in control. The soul is in control. So once you heal, the soul then is in control of that part of you. So for everything that you do where you might have had a fear of failure before, your ego's not triggered, therefore the soul is taking the lead, love is taking the lead. You're doing things from a place of love, you're stepping out into areas that you've never stepped out into before, you're doing stuff that would have absolutely petrified you before, but you're moving through them. So don't be concerned if you're still triggered a tiny amount, because I've noticed that this happens. So experiences happen and I get a tiny, very, very, very slight trigger of experiences that I would have been majorly triggered by before I did the healing. And it's just the ego taking a while just to kind of loosen its grip of control of that part of you. So I call it like the echo of the ego. It's just like the healing's been done, and it's just it's just the vibration of the, going, it's just like the echo, the voice. It's not the actual voice. when we have an echo, we say something and then the voice gets repeated because of the acoustics. So it's not the actual core of it, it's not the voice bit, it's just the echo of it. So it's not actually the fact that the healing hasn't worked, it's just you adjusting, your ego adjusting to the fact that you've done the healing and it doesn't have that control anymore over you. It's not going to stop you because you don't fear failure in the same way. So this has been happening for me, and what I do in these situations, if I get the ego echo, what I do in these situations is I notice that there has been maybe a thought that's come in, very, very, very subtle, or a slight tiny little bit of emotion, this tiniest little bit of emotion in response to something that would have triggered me majorly before. I just speak to the ego in my head and I say, it's okay, ego, I've got this. My soul is taking the lead here. I am completely safe. You can step to one side. You don't need to be triggered by this. So I just chat to it like a child, like a little child. So you can ask it to step to one side and you can say, I've got this, my soul's got this, you're not in any danger, you're perfectly safe. Okay, so that's a little piece of advice for after you've done some healing and you might just get if you get a tiny bit triggered, just a tiny bit. So if they're still big triggers, more healing needs to be done. But if it's a tiny, extremely low level, tiny little response to those same triggers, then it's just the echo, and you just need to remind the ego that the soul is taking the lead here, that love is taking the lead here. I hope you have a beautiful day, whatever you do, and I send you lots and lots of love as always, and I'll see you next time. Lots of love.